Welcome to the United Stand. This is your Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference for Manchester United versus Tottenham and all the latest Manchester United transfer news for what there is out there this morning. Look, I think over the last few weeks we've always said Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done a good press conference. I think he's done his worst press conference he's done in a long time there, but not through any fault of his own. I think that he is absolutely been hung out to dry by this board, and I think we all know that. And I think some of the questions he was asked this morning were absolutely superb, and he doesn't have an answer, because basically what he is doing is he's being put in front of the world publicly, knowing he's been absolutely hung out to dry by this ownership, but having to somehow try and find an answer that appeases you but also appeases his owners. He's the man in the middle of a shit sandwich, and that is, that exposes Solskjaer. He's in trouble. He's in big trouble. He knows he's in trouble. He knows he's not been backed, but he's got his dream job. He's not gonna leave, but he's gonna have to take the heat off you lot because he is the manager. And I don't think it helps Solskjaer's position at all. I feel sorry for the guy. I feel sorry for him. He was even asked about ex-professional footballers like Gary Neville, Rio Ferdinand, Darren Fletcher, Patrice Evra, who've said that, he's not been backed. He's been hung out to dry. What was Ole's answer to that? Well, they can come and talk to me about it if the door's always open, but then again, they're just doing their jobs. He hasn't got an answer to any of this. He can't give an answer because the truth is, he's been hung out to dry. There was an absolutely fantastic question. I think it was from Mr. McDonnell, who works for the Mirror, who said that, where is the question? It was absolutely brilliant. Your rivals have done multiple signings. How is it acceptable for Manchester United to have done next to nothing in the transfer window? What a great question to put to the manager of Manchester United. His response was, we believe in the players. The club are working on things and they know my view. I can't say what's acceptable. And that's basically saying it's unacceptable. The club know my view. I want players. They're working on them. They haven't got them. I've got the players that I've got. It's not my job to say it's unacceptable, because ultimately, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer publicly says this morning it's unacceptable how I've been treated, how the fans have been treated, he'll be out of his job by lunchtime. So, the answers speak 1,000 words. They really do. Mark, look how frustrated he is, trying the hardest to give a professional answer. He knows them Muppets are useless at the top, says Clay S. I totally agree with that. And welcome to the Members Club, Rory Mahon. Just on transfer news, the only news this morning out there, this morning is that Paul Pogba has apparently phoned Ousmane Dembele up to beg him to come to the club. And that Barcelona will not even do a loan-to-buy deal, which we shouldn't do anyway. We shouldn't be anywhere near a loan-to-buy deal. They want a permanent deal. Get your heads around this. We are begging Ousmane Dembele to come to Manchester United. We should be saying no to him if he begs us. But we are begging Ousmane Dembele to come to Manchester United. 2 games he played last season, missed the flop, missed the injury, and we are begging him to come to our club. That's the result of 2 months of transfer activity. Begging Ousmane Dembele to come to our club. We ain't even in the mud. We're way below that. It's an embarrassment. And look, maybe that's not true, but what I'm saying is that's the only story out there this morning, that United are begging Ousmane Dembele to come to the club. It just absolutely boils the blood, doesn't it? It's terrible. We go through some of what was said, but a lot was asked about Ole in relation to transfers. Abaraj says, Sancho or not, this is a shambles. All of the United Stand should take steps. All of us can do our bit. Don't attend games. Stop subscribing. Send emails. Every small step counts. No letting them get away with it, says Abaraj. The problem is, United have done it before, mate. We're going to have a crap transfer window. I think even if we get Jadon Sancho, we're not getting a centre-back. We're having a crap transfer window. It's inevitable. It's certain. They did it last summer. They didn't buy a midfielder or an attacker. The transfer window closed and we all went, oh my God, I can't believe they've done that. A year later, we're saying the same thing. We don't learn as a fan base. We don't do anything as a fan base. We just go, that's unacceptable. I'm so angry. They'll do it because they know once the transfer window is shut, you will all forget. You'll moan for a little bit and then you'll forget because there's games and there's an international break. and you'll just crack on with it. And after 2 months, when the results start going bad, you'll forget the transfer window and you'll start blaming Ollie. They know what happens. These are manipulative business people who will ride a storm of negativity knowing it will calm down and focus on the manager and the players, and they'll just be sat there counting their dividends. They've done it year after year after year. And until we get clever like them and actually stop just getting angry with Glazers out momentarily and start putting together something that's longer term, that's structured, nothing will change. Nothing will change. I felt so sorry for Ollie, says Sean Negative Turner. He's going to lose his job because others can't do theirs. He knows he ain't getting what he wants. So, exactly. If he gets Ousmane Dembele, it's not what he wants. That's the bottom line. I know that for a fact. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't want Ousmane Dembele. I've heard that. I heard it this morning. He doesn't want Ousmane Dembele. This is exactly what happened to me. I was told this morning. What is happening to Ollie is what happened to Mourinho, what happened to Van Gaal, and actually what happened to Moyes as well. They give a list of players. They don't get the first choice. They don't get the second choice. They don't even get the third choice. They don't get anybody on their list. They just get somebody. Like Di Maria was just handed to Van Gaal. Look what we've got you. He didn't want him. United managers don't even get second or third choice. They get something that Ed Woodward and co thinks a good signing. And Ousmane Dembele is not on the list for Solskjaer. He doesn't want him. He won't publicly say that, but he doesn't want him. It's just the failure of everything else that he wants. And they'll go, oh, look what we've got you. Bit of a Galactico signing. Get the fans exciting. He doesn't want him. We don't want him. It's a load of shit. Tomorrow is my birthday, Mark. I thought I would get some good news regarding United, but now it seems not, says Subra. Look, all I would say, Subra, look, I'm always there for both sides. They've got to do something. They've got to do something, and they've got to do something quick. What are they going to do? I still think, out of desperation, they will have to pay the money for Jadon Sancho, because it's the only way to salvage something from a crap window. And I still believe that's going to happen, and I've still got people saying it will happen. But there are a lot of people out there saying, I don't see how it can happen because they've messed it up so much. So let's just see. Don't let the panic cloud your judgment, Mark. As I once said, in the midst of chaos, there's always opportunity. 90% club, says Sun. Sure. Well, I agree with you, mate. I do agree with you on that, but it doesn't stop us from saying it's a load of shit. I don't understand why we haven't gone for Ben Godfrey from Norwich. He's going to Everton for 25 million. He's got bags of pace and good on the ball, says Howling Wolf. Everton are building squad. They're not only building a first 11, they're building a squad. And what happened with the 140 million they've got loaned, says LB? Well, that'll just be to cover the match revenue. That will cover the match revenue, which then asks the question, where's the transfer budget gone? If you take a loan to cover the loss in match revenue, where's the transfer budget gone? Anyway, let's go through some of the questions Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was asked, because there were so many good things he was asked today. On injuries ahead of the Spurs game, nobody's injured. Harry Maguire's going to be back. He mentioned about Harry Kane being a threat. Look, Spurs are firing on all cylinders at the moment. They've got momentum. They've got fluidity. They've got match fitness. Probably too much because they're playing too many games. But, Spurs are on a roll. They're going to come into this game very confident. We haven't played enough games. So I think you can already predict that this game, we've got to win it, but it's going to be a difficult game. Dembele could be injured on the way to Carrington and fail medicals. Pathetic from Idiot Woodward, says Keval. Welcome to the Members Club, Metarari. Thanks for joining. And I'm with KG's Unfollow United campaign. That's the least we should do. Can't take it anymore, says Nijan. And Ed Woodward negotiating with Dortmund is like he's one of the Peaky Blinders, when actually he's one of the cheeky blinders. He's an absolute disgrace, says Vivian. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was asked about Monday's deadline. And what's happening with transfers. Typically, Ollie gave an answer which I think we could all predict. I'm not going to get into it. I'm focusing on the match on Sunday. The club is always working hard on deals, and if we have anything to report, or when we have something to report, we will let you know. The club is not working hard on deals, is it? I've seen corpses work harder than this. It's been a dead transfer window, and I don't, if you send idiots to do work, you will end up with an idiot outcome. We need competence in this football club, which is basically what Laurie Whitwell was saying. He basically hinted at, do we need a director of football? Because, this transfer window hasn't gone the way it should have done, and should more be planning done ahead of a transfer window. And we've spoken about this on this channel many times. A director of football does most of their work when the transfer window is shut. A director of football, if we had one, as soon as this transfer window closes on Monday, they will start looking around for January and next summer. They will start having conversations. We don't do this. Laurie Whitwell basically said to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, do you need a director of football, in so many words? And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, the main thing is results on the pitch, many ways of improving a team, you get better with what you've got, and we've got a strong squad. This was worrying, because he didn't really answer the question, do you need a director of football? And you start talking about results on the pitch, working with what you've got, results breed confidence. He mentioned this a couple of times, worrying stuff. I've got a squad of players. He also spoke about last season I had to use 13 players a lot because they were playing so well. But we've got a big squad here, and I've already seen that those players I've given a chance to have done well. What? Dan James? Scott McTominay? They've not done well, Ollie. The reason you used 13 players last year, and you have got a big squad, but the reason you only used 13 players last year and ran them into the ground is because the other 13 players are, quite frankly, shit. Overpaid shit. That's why you don't use them. So don't try and pull the wool over people's eyes. Just don't say it, because everybody knows that beyond your first 11, all right, you've got Donny van der Beek now, Eric Bailly's come back. So you probably have got 13, 14 players you can trust. But the rest of them are absolute crap. So don't talk about having a big squad that you can improve, because they're crap. That's the whole point. That's why you need players. We cannot close the gap on Liverpool or Manchester City with the likes of... the players. I'm not even going to name them. There's 7 or 8, and you know who they are, and they shouldn't even be in the club. But we will get caught by Spurs. We will get caught by Arsenal. We will get caught by Everton. We will get caught by Leicester, and Chelsea will surpass us. With this squad, the only way is down. Remember that song by Yazoo or Yaz? The only way is up. The only way is down. It's not sensationalist. It's not fear I'm trying to spread. It's fact. This squad ain't good enough. This transfer window has been a disgrace. You can talk about having a big squad. What Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing is trying to spin a positive. He's a half glass full person, and what he's saying is he knows the transfer window has been an absolute shambles. He's trying to spin a positive on it. So he's trying to say, look, I don't want Jones, I don't want Rojo, I don't want Dan James, I don't want these players, but I've got them. I've got to try and get the best out of them because I'm not getting anybody else. That is the festering turd that this board have delivered, because they've not removed the deadwood and they've not brought players in. So he's got to say, I've got a big squad and everyone's going to get a chance, even though he knows it's not good enough, and ultimately it could lead to him getting the sack. He's got to come out and work with what he's got. He's just another Mourinho. He's just another Van Gaal who has been screwed over by this board. And yes, I still believe they'll go and get Sancho in, but he's still going to have Phil Jones, Marcus Rojo, and the rest of the crap on Tuesday morning on 80 grand a week, all of them. So, he's going to have to give games to crap. And when you give games to crap, you lose games of football. So he's not, we ain't... What can we achieve this season? We still don't know, because we just don't know what our plans are over the next few days. Ed shit, Prattwood and the Glazers deserve... no, I can't say that, Ataya, but he's not happy. A sign of properly run football club is when they identify their targets early, get the deals done during pre-season so that the squad is ready to go for the season. United do nothing at the moment, says Ami. Welcome to the members clubs, Evans Maraku. Thank you very much. And I know you're sticking to your guns, says Sean Negative Turner, with this 90% club, but after that press conference, you must know it ain't happening. They don't care if fans kick off. Mate, look, I'll own that. I've seen this, for anybody who says, they won't just not sign anybody. What don't you understand about? I think we will sign players, and I still believe that we're going to get Sancho. I mean, but look, am I bordering into, idiocy now? Possibly. I've got to own that. But for those people who say we're not going to buy anybody, I don't think that will happen, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. I couldn't believe last summer, like I said. Once the transfer window's closed, you can moan all you like. They've won. All right, we're going to get a bit of... They're not going to get sung about in the grounds, are they? Because there's no fans in the ground. People aren't going to march on Old Trafford. We've got bloody social distancing. Most of you don't even live in England. Most of you aren't going to unfollow Man United. You're not going to, boycott MUTV. I mean, maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. But they will, once the transfer window's shut, we go into an international break where most people aren't interested anyway. 2 weeks later, we come back. We've got Champions League football games. People will forget about it, and they've got their dividends. they've won. You know, they won't mind a little bit of moaning once the transfer window's shut. The main thing here is that it's about, for me, it's always been about Manchester United Football Club. You know, the Glazers, whatever. Look, I'd love to get behind something to remove them, but I've never seen any movement that's worth its while, because some people just don't want to get off their arse and do something about it. They just don't. That's a fact. But I've always said the best scenario is that the Glazers actually spend some bloody money and get behind a manager. They didn't do it with, you know, Mourinho got us second place, they hung him out to dry. Ollie's got us third place, they've hung him out to dry. All I want us to do is when we get a bit of momentum, and you know, whatever you think about Mourinho, he gave us a bit of momentum. He won a Europa League, he got us to second in the league, and then they didn't back him. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whatever you think, he got us a bit of momentum. He got us playing good football. We got third in the league, we deserved it, and they've not backed him. The biggest frustration for me is that this opportunity this summer, much the same as Mourinho's when he finished second, was the time to say, we're a football club. It was the time to say we're going to build on this momentum, that we're going to make a statement, that we're going to try and close the gap on the rest. And we never do. We never do it. And that's the sadness to me. All the moaning is right, but we never do it. They never just build on the momentum. And that is the crying shame, that yet another manager has been totally and utterly let down and not rewarded. And then ultimately you suffer. Poor Ollie defending backstabbing prats. He's not a Sir Alex who can turn average players to world stars, but he can do a job, but not without backing, says DK. I don't think there's a manager in world football that can do any better than with this squad, to be honest. You certainly can't win a league. We're only a couple of injuries away from going down in the league if we don't sign anyone. Brace yourself for a disappointing season. We need to stand by Ollie, says Vivian. Well, it'll be very hard for people to stand by Ollie when we start losing to the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal. Even I'm going to find that hard. Not that I'm not sticking with him, but the manager's always the one who gets the blame. But the real blame is above him. And can people... Look, I've said this myself. When the results go bad, if they go bad, can we control ourselves enough not to go in on players and the manager and go in on the board? That's the challenge, because that's where the blame is. Don't worry, Mark. Phil Jones will save us. I still want your babies, though, says Robert Cullins. And I disagree with Ollie not saying it how it is. Ollie gets sacked because he's exposing them lot, then so be it. Have some bollocks and at least unite as fans, says Gums. Well, look, I've seen a few people saying that today. Should Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if he doesn't get the players that he wants, be coming out and actually saying, you know what, this isn't acceptable? He'd go down as a legend. He would. But I don't think he'd do it. I just don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would do that. I don't think he's that personality. He's not got the same personality as most of you. I've always said Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a positive person. It's, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a positive person, and his mentality, the way I judge it, will be, I'd rather be trying to solve this problem from inside than just walking away and leaving the mess behind, because somebody will come into that role. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says this morning, I've been let down, this club's going nowhere, these people in charge are a disgrace. He's sacked, he resigns, whatever. There'll be some... Pochettino will come in tomorrow. And then there's people in our fan base who will go, well, yeah, Poch will sort it out. So nothing changes. And then in 18 months, Pochettino's let down, but he won't walk away. So it's very easy to say Ole should walk away, but this club will... What they do, this club, is when the shit really hits the fan and they sack a manager, they're very clever. They'll get a manager in you like, and they'll give that manager money. And then they won't give him money, and then the cycle will continue. Hagrid tweeted 2 minutes ago, Dembele has accepted United as his destination, pushing for a permanent move now, says Anish Pal. And Mark, our club is eroding into obscurity. Doesn't it terrify you that if this continues, our club could have no fans in 30, 40 years, says Fisticuffs. Hi Mark, would it have been smart for us to have gone for Zapata as a backup striker? Been great for Atalanta the last couple of years, says Ashton. It would have been smart to actually have a plan in this transfer window. Let's be honest, nobody here given a chance to manage United would go out and get fired. Talk is cheap, says Stephen Alexander B. Morning Mark, we can now see why Dortmund are convinced Sancho will be at Dortmund playing for another year, says Jordan Such. And the way the club is being run is seriously affecting my mental health. Maybe I need to stop caring as much. Sad, but we must do something. Glazers out, says John Snow. I'd like to say you know nothing, Jon Snow, but actually you know quite a lot. He was also asked about this question as well. Remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, sort of back end of March or maybe early April, said about exploiting the market. Will be in, you know, Manchester United are in a position where they can exploit the market, and Ole actually apologised for that, which I think takes, you know, Ole's morals of Ole are fantastic. And what he basically said those situations haven't arrived. For whatever reason, maybe I thought that there would be an opportunity for us to exploit the market, because I thought certain clubs would have to sell and sell cheap. But those opportunities haven't arrived. We've got a big squad with more options for the future and more chances. So basically, what he's basically saying is, I think those options are there, by the way. And I think Ollie, what he has said in an honest way is that he's not saying that the market's not there to exploit. What he's saying is he thought the market was there to exploit, but those situations haven't arrived. What he's basically saying is he's been let down. Read between the lines. Because what he said back in March was, with COVID, there's going to be clubs that need to sell to survive. And there are clubs that need to sell to survive. And he expected us to take advantage of that market. We didn't. That's what he's saying. Some people will read it that the market was never like that, but it is. There are deals that could have been done by United. They just didn't do them. He also was asked about the spat with Jose Mourinho. He said, I'm not into mind games. I've got respect for him. I don't really want to talk about that. It's bollocks. I mean, the Spurs game is very important, but everything has to be about what we're trying to achieve in the next couple of days with the transfer market. In essence, all you've got from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is we've got a big squad. Players are going to get more of a chance. I've got to believe in them. Have I been backed? Have we missed opportunities? We all want United to be as high as possible. It's about results on the pitch. There's many ways of improving a team, not just transfers. We can get better with what we've got. We've got a strong squad. It's just exactly what a manager's going to say when they've been let down. Unless he comes out and says, unless he wants to get sacked, which he doesn't want to. It's very obvious. You do not need to be very good at reading people's personalities to know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer there basically has got no update. He's been hung out to dry. He's going to have to crack on with what he's got. He knows his players are going to watch what he's saying. And basically, what do you want him to do? Do you want him to come out and say, I've got no chance with these centre-backs? He's got to try and build their... He actually is right. If, I've coached, I've managed, I'm sure many of you have. I'm not just even talking about football here. If you come out and say, yeah, I'm really not happy with my team, and then tomorrow morning you've got to go and try and win a game of football, you're not going to win. They're not going to play for you. They're not going to be confident. Confidence is important in any high-level sport. I don't knock Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for coming out and talking about a big squad and saying, people will get a chance and I believe in them. It's a load of bollocks. We've all got eyes. We know that those players aren't good enough, and we know that he'd sell them if he got the right fee. But he's stuck with them. Why is he stuck with them? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has not gone in to Ed Woodward and co and said, don't buy me Jadon Sancho, don't buy me a centre-back, I'm really happy with Dan James and Phil Jones. Of course he hasn't said that. But now they haven't delivered, he's got to publicly say, I'm happy with Phil Jones and Dan James. And obviously he didn't say them, he didn't name-check them, but he did talk about the wider squad. And that's what he's got to do. And this situation is depressing, and it's saddening, and it's horrible. And it's inflicted on us by tyrants, basically, who, are torturing us. Mentally torturing us. And people say, oh, you're being a bit far-fetched there. Well, tell me what the word is for people who don't support your club, who buy your club that you love, who all they want is money out of the club. They don't want to be successful. They just want money out of the club. And are you not tortured mentally every summer by Manchester United? Are you not tortured mentally every season when you see how far we are behind our big rivals? If you're not, fair play. But I admit, personally, I'm, most of the time, at the end of the day, it's one of the biggest mental strains at the moment for me. And I'll be absolutely honest, and people might laugh about this, but Manchester United matters to me a hell of a lot. At the end of the day, I am depressed, I am drained, and mentally tortured by what these people are doing to our football club. That's not melodramatic. I would say any Spurs fan, Arsenal fan, Chelsea fan, Liverpool fan, any football fan of any club, when it matters, it isn't something you switch off. I remember I used to work with somebody, and her husband was a Leeds fan, and she used to say, I hate it on a Saturday if Leeds lose, because that's it for the weekend. He's in a terrible mood. And always stuck with me that, because it's true. This matters to us. It's not a game. It's not a game. When we don't strengthen and support our manager and everybody else does, it depresses you. You know, it's a frustration but how do we do anything about it? That's the question. I understand United, you cannot get the bigger community together, but you have built something here. Please get United stand together against the Glazers, says Karam Banzel. Look, there are things we can do from Monday night, Tuesday morning. There are things we can do. It's up to people if they want to do them. We can say unsubscribe from MUTV, and I'll certainly be doing it. We can say unfollow Man United on Twitter, and I'll certainly be doing it. But whether that is impactful or not, I don't know. I've said what I think. I think Manchester United supporters trust in the Red Army. They are two things that can do a lot of things to lead this. And, you know, we would obviously, I think all of us would get behind that. But whether they want to do it, whether they would do it, I don't know. And it's not a criticism because people have got their own choice. But what I do know is that the way our manager, who most of us love, has been treated this transfer window is nothing short of a disgrace. And if it's true that United have been successful in begging floppy, injured Ousmane Dembele to come to our club, that to me is the biggest kick in the teeth ever. Because this signing to me, and I will say it publicly, and you can all say whatever, you know, I didn't agree with Matic signing, and to be fair to him, it worked out. So if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. But I know this is not even a player that was on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's list. I know this is absolute emergency desperation to beg a player like this to come to our club. The rumours around this player is that his attitude stinks. The rumours around this player, well, the facts around this player is that his injury record is a disgrace. And the facts around this player is that he's a flop. There's no future in it. It's a disgraceful deal to do. And if they do it, I will call it out. And I've already said it. This would be the combination of every bad deal we've done over the last 8 years. And yet in the last year, we've publicly been told that this football club has learnt from its mistakes of the past. Even though the people still who made those mistakes are still in charge, they have come out and said they've learnt from their mistakes of the past. They should have been sacked, but they've been allowed to learn from their mistakes from the past, which they say they have learnt. If they bought an Ousmane Dembele or loaned an Ousmane Dembele, they've learnt nothing. Because he is the combination of every bad deal we've done. The injury-prone, expensive Falcao, combined with the player that doesn't want to even come to our club, but we get him to come to our club through money, Di Maria, combined with ridiculous wages, mercenary Alexis Sanchez. Ousmane Dembele would be the combination of all three of those. How have we learnt of a football club if we go and mix together every bad deal we've done over the last 8 years and do it again? What's that statement? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. Well, it's not even insanity, is it? Because it's doing the same thing again, multiple times, and then combining it together and doing it again. Madness. Hi, Mark. Hope happy Friday, bro. Thoughts on clubs being competitive with us in the noughties versus 2020 in the market has driven prices up together with inflation. I guess these fees are ridiculous, says James Rodriguez. And Glazers are vampires and bleeding our club dry, says Karam. You know what? Actually, can I just say that? I vocally said we shouldn't go near James Rodriguez and we shouldn't go near Gareth Bale, and I stand by that. You know, I can look at this logically, and I think many of you can. James Rodriguez was too much of a risk for Manchester United, and Gareth Bale was too much of a risk for Manchester United. We shouldn't be looking at those sort of signings. You should be looking at the Jadon Sanchos of this world, the up-and-coming players who are hungry and have got talent. They're worth the fee because they fit the profile. James Rodriguez, you know, he's flopped a bit at Bayern Munich. He's not been doing that great. Gareth Bale hardly played for the last couple of years. He's 31. We shouldn't be going anywhere near those deals. But every day of the week and Sunday, those two would have been way better than Ousmane Dembele. That's how bad a deal Ousmane Dembele is. That James Rodriguez and Bale would have been way better deals than him. But we didn't even do those. You know, this is how incompetent we are. We'll respect Ollie more if he chooses to leave the club now rather than waiting to get the sack from this hopeless board, says Mini19. He won't do that. And to be honest with you, I don't necessarily agree with him doing that. How can you still be 90% club? Because there's still time left in this window. There are still people telling me that we're trying to do the deal. And the three things that I've said need to happen to make me drop interest in this deal are public statement from Sancho, he's staying. Transfer window closes, which is on Monday night, or we sign another right winger. Look, we might do that one. We might do the right winger and then it's over. And when it's over, I will tell you what I think about this deal. I will tell you all the stuff I got told about this deal, because there's some stuff that quite rightly, I've had to keep back because I've got to protect those people who've given that information. But if the deal doesn't happen, they've said you can say it. So, you know, I will vent properly, and I'm sure many of you will as well. But I still have to go with what I've always been told, and I still believe that whilst there's time left in this market, we can do this deal. But the reality is, to do this deal, Fabrizio Romano is right. You've got to give Dortmund the money they've always wanted. And I have always felt that we can do that. Because it's not a cheque for 108 million. It's 90 plus 20 next year. They'll do that. But we've got to give that offer. Sign at 5th and announce at the 7th, says Sunshine Digital Media Agency. The board is an absolute disgrace. I hope they watch this so they can see what us fans think of them. Pratt, says Dimitri. Can Man United staff and players themselves protest by physically not showing up, says Agro. No, they'd all be in breach of contract. They're not going to do that. They like their wages too much. And I'm Sancho or nothing, but the club should look at Sarr or Koeman if they can have to look for an alternative, says Welly Zeno. Well, look, you know, I was also told this last night as well. What Man United are doing here is that if they're very clever at PR, they will absolutely send you into this mood where you're in total despair, and then on Monday they'll just get a couple of players in that aren't good enough where you'll go, well, it's better than nothing. So instead of getting a Jovic, you'll get a Josh King. Instead of getting a Sancho, you might actually get a Sarr. They're not good enough, but you're so fed up, you're so depressed, you're so desperate that when they deliver those players, you'll take it as a positive, and then they've won the spin. So let's just see how that plays out. Mark, we're almost 10 years of winning the title. We're going to end up like Liverpool was and AC Milan. Now it's heartbreaking. Glazers out, says Steez94. Well, look, let's see what happens. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. We are going to be live a lot over the next few days, hopefully. So we will go live if there's any breaking news, etc. And that's your Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference update. In general, a poor press conference, but nothing to do with Ole, to do with the fact that he's just been put into this ridiculously crap situation. Jacob Hawke says, I don't believe this Dembele nonsense, mainly because I can't fathom how we can go from a brilliant signing who wants to come to a flop who will bleed us dry and break his leg 3 games in. Exactly. I don't actually believe we're looking at it, but you can only go with what's been said publicly by credible people. Do you think that the way the board have acted in this transfer window will damage United's ability to secure future transfers, says Mikan? Well, it already is. It already is, isn't it, Mikan? You know, are we not damaged this summer? You know, we've seen the evidence of that. We can't get players out. We can't get players in. And Paul Robinson says, 90% club, stay strong. You see, Paul knows what he's on about. Speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the mods. Thanks to everyone who's watching. And I'll speak to you in a bit. Smile though your heart is breaking. Smile even though it's aching.